constantly to do something different, the fire and creative bugs within her led to quit her well-settled and respected job at the Taj Hotels during the 80s. And she started to spread her wings from her garage. Imagine spending a lifetime setting up a business only to have it collapse decades later and having to start all over from scratch. Betrayal, broke, but not broken. She rose like a phoenix. With over 3 decades of experience, accolades, and contributions, the list of awards and recognitions are overwhelming. Globally renowned interior designer and a successful entrepreneur, she is known for her unique design sensibilities. From the high-end hotel chains, corporates, and residential projects, she has also constantly left her mark in the rural segment of the country in terms of the ancient traditional artworks to keep the rich cultural heritage alive. A TEDx speaker, thought leader, founder and CEO of various companies like Lipika Sud Interiors Private Limited, Art and Aura, president of the Guild of Designers and Artists, and the International Executive Council member, SARC Chamber Women Entrepreneurs Council, bagging the recognition and awards such as Dr. Sarojini Naidu International Award Interior Designer 2021, Women Leadership Award 2021, FICCI FLO, Designer of the Decade Award 2021, LROC India, Lifetime Achievement Award in Design 2020, IWP, Entrepreneur of the Year Award, SRCC, Udyog Ratan Award, Women Achievers Award by Amity University, 15 Most Talented Green Leaders in India, World CSR Forum, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar National Award for Entrepreneurship, Design Professional of the Year, Indian Home Congress, Interior Designer of the Year, Builder Information Bureau, Best Designer for the Creative Excellence Society Interiors, Excellence in Women Empowerment Award, WCRC International, Iconic Women Leader, Women Economic Forum are just to name a few. She is empowering the creative people of the world through her initiative known as Creativepreneur Program. This amazing woman is none other than Lipika Sud. She is not just impacting and inspiring through her beautiful work and contributions, but also intensifying life and humanity to her best possible extent. So let's listen from the woman herself. Welcome, Lipika, to Intensify Life podcast. And I am so happy and honored to have you here on my show finally. And thank you. I know you are tremendously busy, but thank you so much for taking time to have this call today with us.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's just so wonderful to interact with you every time I've spoken with you. And now in this kind of a format, looking forward to it.
Humbled, and thank you so much. And you are amazingly, once again, looking so beautiful. I couldn't resist sharing that.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Coming from a gorgeous woman like you, that's a very good compliment.
Thank you. So Lipika, you have no idea. I have so many questions in my mind, and I have actually jotted down key. I should ask this one, that one, because your life is totally like a roller coaster and completely like a mysterious book, if one may want to explore and learn so much from you. But given the time constraint that we have, let's begin the place where it all started. So to begin, asking, how did this journey in the design world, in the interior design world, actually start off?
Oh, well, since childhood, I was always creatively inclined. Painting, art, theater, dancing, elocutions, debates. That was what I was involved in all through my life, all through my school life. And I loved it. My school teachers were very happy. My parents were very encouraging. And I would bring a lot of accolades for the school, getting Shankar's International Prize silver medals. My painting was converted into a stamp and released on Children's Day. It got an All India award, and it was a beautiful phase of my life. Of course, I was good with studies, but not very good. And, the way our education system is, there's too much pressure on 12th boards. And therefore, 12 boards happened. I was a commerce student. One of my teachers called me and said, listen, Lipika, if you don't get good marks, in the 12 boards, no matter how good you are with your extracurriculars, and you've got so many accolades for the school, we understand it. But if you don't fare well, the school will get a bad name, your parents will get a bad name, and it will be disastrous for your future. What do? I locked myself in a room, cried for 7 days. Oh my goodness, as marks everything in life. Well, you know how it was. I deep down, even though I was unhappy, I decided to study 14 and 17 hours a day. I studied and I studied and I studied, and I got very good marks. I almost topped the school and some of the subjects. And then, the best commerce college at that point of time, and even today, is Sri Ram College of Commerce in New Delhi. I got admission there. And people were rejoicing. People were so happy. Oh my God, you've got admission in SRCC. Where's the party? This, that. And deep down, I'm like, is this it? What happens to my creativity? Anyhow, I joined college. 3 years just pass. I see these uber, geeky, studious people around me. Some of them were fun too. So I find my crowd. I start, being part of a college magazine, extensively get involved with the college, festivals. And, if you're creative, you automatically tend to guide it towards what your heart desires. And that's exactly what happened. And there I was into a college, finished college. Everybody went off to do an MBA or a CA or one of these serious courses. What do? I thought, okay, kuch to karna hai. Let me do LLB. So I did law. And after law, I was pretty sure I'm not going to take up law as a career. No way. I mean, with my creative part of my body and my brain, then IAMC happened, the Indian Institute of Mass Communications. Somebody filled the form on my behalf. I was really happy for that because I actually got through it. It's a very difficult All India test, I'm told. And advertising and public relations, I so thoroughly enjoyed. And then through campus interviews, I got a job first with the Lintas, which is an advertising agency, and then moved on to working with the Taj Group of Hotels. And that was a fantastic experience for me. I loved being with people, learning new things. Creativity was still somewhere deep down, which I was not exploring. So coming to your question, how did you get into the interior design business? Why I built this up to you, the story was important, is because at this point of time, when I was training at the Taj Palace, which is in New Delhi, I got a chance to be part of the projects department of the Taj Group, and there was a nightclub being designed at that point of time. So much that I was doing something else, which was part of banquet sales, but I loved the way the interiors was being done up, and I learned so much just observing them. And then I decided that, hey, listen, this is it. I'm so interested. This is so beautiful. It's about art. It's about color. It's about depth. It's about textures. I need to do this as a career. So I picked up my bag and I walked out. But let me tell you, it is not easy to give up a corporate job. And then what? And then started a small office from my garage room and collaborated with a few people. I went from person to person saying, hey, listen, I need jobs. I learned on the job. It wasn't easy. It was pretty tough, let me tell you that. There were days when I was down and under. I would talk to myself, am I doing the right thing? Did I take the right decision? Because it was not just about interior design. Of course, I was also learning on the job. You need to have technical knowledge. Interior is not just about placing sofas and hanging paintings. There's a lot more to it. So I learned the hard way. I learned from my real gurus were the carpenters at the site, the masons, the electricians, and all of them. And of course, I did enroll myself in several courses and classes. Back then in the late 80s, there was not too many options, I'll tell you very honestly, for learning interior design. It was not really taken up as a serious profession. The way it is today, it is recognized very well at par with, say, a medicine or engineering or any other profession. In fact, it probably is more paying than these professions today. But back then, things were different. But I managed. I had that never say no, never say die kind of a attitude. So life went on, and very good projects came my way. Multinational companies were just opening up their doors in India. So there was a huge possibility of learning, getting into the corporate world of doing their interiors, the corporate buildings, the corporate offices. And one thing led to another, and the business grew from 3 people to 40 people. And then there was no looking back. So that's how my interior design world is what I introduced myself into. And it's been a great journey.
Wow, especially when you said you actually were into Tata, right? The Taj group of hotels, which is considered as the well settled, respected job you already had on your plate. And you left it and you started off at a time when there was no social media, no nothing of these sorts. And you actually built your career in the not so famous domain from scratch. So it is like I'm still getting goosebumps because right now, when people think of starting something, there are so many avenues available. But during those times, those avenues will not technically available. So that is definitely there. But what's more surprising and exciting is that you not just created one business, but over the years, you have been actually operating so many businesses, sold so many businesses, managing other things. I mean, so total, how many businesses and in how many different domains have you done it? And where do you get this, what you call it in Bengali, we call it Dosho Bhuja, right? You have 10 hats of like Ma Durga. And how do you manage so many businesses and so many different fields of work and wear so many hats together?
I always think that if you're really passionate about work, passionate to the point that, you are completely eating, drinking, thinking about whatever you're doing and enjoying it thoroughly. Not one day is work, really. So it's not just a hobby that made me get into interiors. Interiors was not just a passion that was more, fashionable to be getting into, but something where there was a burning desire to make it successful. I wanted to succeed in it. I wanted to bring it, the kind of respect the field has at par with engineering, management, medicine, and all of that. I realized that even though I came from a family, I was a first time entrepreneur. I came from a family of engineers and doctors, and there were expectations of me doing something on those lines, even though I was the first one in my entire family to have taken commerce as a subject during my time. And they were like, what is this commerce all about? Accountant? Ye banna hai. Books? You can do better than that. So, I have always had this thing about people and their mindsets being very, very closed. However, my parents have been very encouraging always with whatever I have done, because my dad always said that, no matter what you choose in life, the bottom line is excellence. You need to excel in it, no matter whatever it is. So excellence was always on the forefront of whatever I did. And subconsciously, I worked towards it. And I personally, I love doing different things and exploring different things. I'm completely adventurous in my mind. And so therefore, that adventure always takes me to doing things which are challenging, which are not boring, which doesn't make me sit down at one place, which is not a 9 to 5 situation, which is something I know I can do, but I'm not sure how to go about it. So there is a sense of exploration. There's a sense of learning. There's a sense of, being able to do it, being challenged to do it. And therefore, I love challenges. So I have realized that over the years, my greatest strength is to be able to rise up to a situation and a challenge. Because if I am not challenged, I don't flower. If I'm not challenged, I don't grow. So I rather be challenged and grow, then sit back comfortably in a position where I've already achieved and say, okay, and gloat on my glory. That's not me. And that's what makes me do these multiple, businesses, wear several hats, run, head organizations, and so on and so forth. And I have a blast. I love every moment of what I do. And that is what the key is, really.
That is very much evident. There is no doubt in it. And that's a big message also you just passed on. Ki whatever you take up, look for the excellence. And you always love to swim in the untreaded waters. That's what you're an explorer, an adventurer in that manner. So, needless to say, all these you have achieved through your own efforts, own exploration. You have always went out and you are a go-getter. But there is also another phase of your life when it so happened that, with all these highs and different kinds of experiences, you also had hit like a rock bottom. So, could you share that incident or exactly how it happened and what was it?
See, there was not one incident. Of course, I'll come to a one major incident that obviously made me think far more than other things. But at every point, be it choosing commerce in school vis-a-vis a science, which the entire family had chosen, itself was a step which was very adventurous and out of the ordinary. The routine, I broke there with a lot of apprehensions in my head, of course, but with the challenge that, yes, I will make it. And I did. Went on to giving up a cushy job like the Tatas. My time, it was like getting a great government job, but I did give it up. I gave it up, obviously, with a lot of apprehension, but at the same time, landed myself in a profession that was not really recognized the way it was. It was considered something that bored housewives do, interiors, at that point of time. I'm talking about good 3 decades ago. So I had to break that myth. So it took me much more than today what a designer will have to do to prove himself or herself in this field. So there again, I had to face a lot of problems, a lot of issues, not just in the macro manner, but even in the day-to-day situation where it was very much a man's world. Going to a site, being able to tell the carpenters and the masons what to do. They were not used to having a woman giving them directions. They were not used to having somebody like a woman telling them even clients were not very used to having too many women interact with them. So on this particular subject particularly, but I think once you set your boundaries, and you make the client or the people at site or whoever else you are interacting with very sure that this is it, and then move on to telling them that you're a professional, I think things move much easier. And I think the people on the other side also tend to understand you and respect you for the same. So I think it's a two-way thing, really. It didn't take me very long to establish myself. I honestly believe that gender is something that we are born with, but when it comes to the workspace, it's we women or men who need to set boundaries. And once that is done, if you don't allow them to break that boundary, nothing can be broken, really. And I sincerely believe that, no matter what the situation is. So bringing out, coming out of that space and, trying to make a mark, and which I did. If one would Google interior designers in India, my name would probably pick up at a very high this thing. And there were no search engine optimizations. There were no technology happening. We were even drafting with our own hands on drawing boards and pencils and, rotring pens. There was no CAD and, no computer aided design facilities and softwares available to a large part of my beginning of my career. But that was a great experience. We learned on the job. There was a lot of emphasis on, designing with detail, because as they say, God is in the detail. So detail was what we were always constantly looking at. And that's what's made somebody stand apart in terms of, your one's skills. And I've had a beautiful trajectory of work with my businesses doing extremely well, very well accepted. Accolades, very humble to say that I've got some of the best awards that one can dream of getting, in this space of design, entrepreneurship, and social entrepreneurship in particular. And it's always been a wonderful journey, besides of course having everyday hiccups, everyday heartburns, which is part of the deal. um, a, a, a very major setback of course came when a few years ago I realized that there were financial discrepancies in the books of my companies. And I was very, very shocked, because it was a lot of breach of, faith, and breach of trust, if I may use the term. And it threw me off completely, because, having not looked into the books personally, thinking that it's been all taken care of, because it's a very important part of business, and focusing all along with the other aspects, which is design, which is marketing, which is so many other things that are required to run a business, I discovered that that was probably one of the big mistakes I did in my life. However, it was done, and I was left with very little money. So life came to a halt for a while, more out of shock, more out of trying to figure out what the hell happened. And it took me a while to get out of it. I would go to bed very upset, not wanting to get up next morning, not wanting to go to work. I had to let go of a large part of my team. There were huge salaries to be paid month on month, which I couldn't afford. And so many other expenses that, that are attached to when you're running, certain organizations. These were private limited companies that I was running. 6 months down the line, after a lot of introspection, and of course, I decided to take the bull by the horn. So there were litigations and so many other things. In our country, it takes forever. But I looked into the mirror and I said, there's only one life, and I need to stand up for what is right, no matter what people have to say. People said a lot of nonsense, and you know how these things are. So I've grown a very thick skin over the years, and I tell all the women, particularly women, men and women actually, but more women, because our society tries to pull the women down far more than the men. It doesn't matter if the woman is competent, if the woman is at par in terms of education and in caliber with the man. But when it comes to pointing up them, there's always this, no matter how much people say we don't discriminate with gender, there is a gender discrimination. So even though all of my life I tried to be balancing the work, home and work life and home life quite a bit. Running a home itself is a very big challenge. And my simple answer to a lot of people's question is, how do you manage to run the companies that you do? I say, if you have run a home, trust me, running a business is easy, breezy, no problem at all. But it's so unfortunate that, in our country and a lot of countries across the globe, women who are at home, running homes, looking after children, running, everything else, are unpaid labor actually. So, but the working woman has another disadvantage, is that she's actually doing 2 jobs in one day, and 3 sometimes, because I live in a city like Delhi, where there's a lot of socializing, weddings, this, that, and the other. So it's a full day at work, there's a full day at home, there's a morning and there's an afternoon, and there are evenings with family and family functions and so on and so forth. So yes, life's been pretty much a roller coaster. But I think the best part of it is that one learns, one lives through it, and if one can psych yourself to enjoy every moment, trust me, there's never a dull moment, and you can just go through it with a smile and have your good night's sleep and get up in the morning for a new day. So I did get up one fine day and said, hey, listen, it's okay to fall. And I have in the past. This was a big fall, of course. But that doesn't define me. What describes me is when I get up, brush myself, and I do better than I have done in the past. It was a tall order, let me tell you. Thanks to technology, technology had very much come by then. I'm only talking about 5-6 years ago. One fine day, I just sat in my drawing room and I recorded a small video of myself in my pajamas, looking very ugly and very lousy and depressed. I recorded and I challenged myself that give me just 2 years, between 2 to 5 years, I will just bounce back better and bigger than what I used to be. And then something, happened. And this time I was very money conscious. Something that I hadn't learned something that I've learned now, that money makes the world go round. So no matter how much you have earned in the past, whatever you have done, one has to keep a very strong hold on the finances, because you need money no matter what happens in whichever situation. That's one. The second big learning I got was that even if you lose everything, be it fraud, be it tsunami, be it anything, and shit happens in life. Nobody can take your talent away from you. So I had the talent and I had constantly worked on myself because I am a lifelong learner. So I would enroll in classes, I would learn things, and I would do all kinds of things while I was still in the job, because I'm basically very curious as a person. So all of that helped me to bounce back more easily. Now, this time, I had the advantage of my experience. I had the advantage of my contacts and my network. And I also had the advantage of knowing what not to do. People teach you what to do. Not too many people teach you what not to do. So here I knew with introspection what not to do. And of course, one of the biggest lessons which I had learned is earn, save, and keep a control on the money yourself. Nobody else is handling it. Nobody can peep into your accounts and say, what are you doing with your money and why? And that was my essential focus. So without compromising on the quality of projects, without compromising on, anything else, with full integrity, I went ahead and I picked up projects and projects and projects after projects. They came by me. If you're good with your work, I'm telling you, you have a sense of abundance. Everything in the universe comes together to help you and to lift you up. And that is exactly what happened. I came across a lot of very good people, and we built and we built. And I'm very proud to share this with you that within 5 years, I probably have done better. I did better than I had done 10 years before that, both in terms of quality of work, financials, reputation, and everything else put together. So yes, it was a challenge. And as I said, sometimes, a crisis actually brings out the best in you. So this was a big crisis, and it gave me the confidence that no matter what, I can rise, and I can rise from the ashes and make up to and make out of something out of my life over and over again.
Wow, this entire experience, it was just like boom, 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 boom. The all kinds of learnings and, lessons, I would say. Like, people tell you what to do, but people don't tell you what not to do. So all the people who are listening right now, finance is something that we are never taught since childhood. Whatever, even if you only choose a finance as a subject, then you know what to do, what not to do. But to keep a tab of your finances, to save, to have that stability, that is something you just shared so valuable. Some other aspects you already covered, which I noted down as questions. That is, how did you manage at a time when you had to go to the karigars and actually tell them ki ye karna hai, wo karna hai, ye nahi karna hai? How did they would listen to you? Because that time there was, women handling these things was a rare case. So you already covered that.
Yes, I have done that. What I have not covered is something I know is probably ticking in your head to ask me. Is that was the only crisis? The answer is no. There was another crisis that all of us have faced only recently with the pandemic situation. And that has been a big crisis for a lot of people,
Yes.
particularly in my space where, work from home became a norm. Offices closed down. Businesses shrunk when it came to doing up interiors for corporate offices. Large offices, which had about a seating of 500 to 1,000 people, brought it down to 200, 300 people. 100 people offices became 10 people offices. And people, so obviously there was a big dent in the, in the space of interior design in the industry that I belong to. So what happened? One more crisis, okay? Would you want to know what happened?